The Canal and River Trust and the Environment Agency welcome you to our waterways. This film is about safety around locks. Boating accidents are not common, but when they do happen, it's often in locks. Moving through a lock is perhaps the trickiest part of boating. There's a lot to think about at once and a whole series of tasks to carry out. Almost all locks work on the same basic principle. With the lock gates closed, the sluices or paddles are opened to let the water in or out. When the water level under your boat is the same as the level you're moving to, the gates can be opened and you can move in or out of the lock. You operate most canal locks yourself with the windlass key. Ensure that you use the tapered eye of the windlass on a tapered spindle, never the square eye. Only use a windlass that fits snugly, and always use the safety catch when winding paddles up. Only use the square eye on square spindles, such as the hydraulic locks on the Hatton flight. Do not leave the windlass on the spindle. And keep fingers, hair and clothing away from the mechanism. Windlasses can cause serious injury. Open paddles slowly so that water doesn't risk flooding your boat while in the lock, and make sure you close the paddles or sluices fully once you have opened or closed the gates. At other locks, especially on some rivers, they are operated by staff or volunteers and may be automated or worked by hand. Always obey instructions and signage, especially when staff are not on duty and you need to operate the lock yourself. On some tidal waterways, you will need to check ahead to find out when you can pass through. On others, you may be able to book your passage ahead of time. You'll need a key to operate locks on the River Nene, Great Ouse and the Ancombe because the vertical gates have security locks. Call the Environment Agency on 03708 506 506 to find out how to get a key. On some locks, you will need a Canal and River Trust key or a handcuff anti-vandal key. These can be purchased from the Canal and River Trust online shop, shop.canalrivertrust.org.uk. If you find a lock that is damaged or broken, don't try to operate it. Call the Navigation Authority. You can find all the contact details in the back of the Boater's Handbook, and say where you are and what you think is wrong with the lock. When you are navigating a lock, there are a few things to look out for. The sill, for example. The sill is a protruding stone or concrete ledge at the higher end of the lock chamber. You can only see them as the lock empties. Most locks have markers to show its approximate position. You need to keep the stern of your boat clear of the sill when going downwards. If your boat gets caught on the sill, close all paddles or sluices immediately. When going uphill, be careful not to get the rudder caught between the gates or on any projections on the lock wall. Always stay alert whilst in a lock. In locks on Environment Agency waterways, you must switch off your engine. You need to control the boat with bow and stern ropes looped around the bollards. Never tie them, but adjust them carefully as the water level changes. A centerline rope is not enough. On Canal and River Trust waterways, your engine can still be on, but you should raise your side fenders when going through locks, particularly narrow ones. If you keep your engine on, always have a steerer at the helm. If there is a bridge, use it when crossing the lock. If not, take care using the walking board attached to the gates. Don't jump across part-opened gates. Watch out for slippery surfaces when you're pushing the gates open, and keep an eye out for unprotected drops around the lock side. Work out some clear signals so that the crew and skipper can communicate quickly. A signal that means close all the paddles can be very useful. If you get into difficulties or are having problems, stop, close the paddles or sluices and ring for help. On Anglian waterways, you'll find that many locks have guillotine gates. These have steel or wooden pointing gates at one end and vertical guillotine gates at the other end. Some locks on Anglian waterways are reversed during times of flood. The pointing gates are chained open and the guillotine gate is used as a sluice. These locks can't be used, and you are strongly advised to tie up until the river flow reduces. When you visit Anglian waterways, register for River Advice for Boaters. Please read the Boater's Handbook, where you'll find more information and advice on operating locks safely.